Hello everyone to this course about Python APIs. And APIs is going to be very important to you as a data scientist because after creating your model, you need to send it to other computers, and these computers are going to need to get it automatically from you. And Python is still a good language to use as you use it for data science itself. It's also a good language to create APIs, so you will not send an email, for example, to a person that wants to know your prediction or your classification. You're gonna need to build an API, and specifically a REST API. So this is what we're gonna learn how to build here in this course. But first of all, let's take things by downloading a cloning a GitHub repository. So let me get you here to a website. I would like you to execute git clone on this repository to fetch this repository. So just open terminal and hit git clone to download all the contents, all these files here. I have already done this for you. So yeah, I have already done it, and you need to open it with PyCharm. For someone who is not familiar with PyCharm, it's highly recommended. I always recommend it to work with that tool. And let's see about the link. So here you go. Here is the link for you to download PyCharm. Download the free version. The community version is enough in order to work with Python. So after you download it and you clone this repository, then you're opening this directory, and here you see all the files. So what we need here is to what we have here first of all is a server PI file. Well, here this asks us to add file. This is what PyCharm does, but never mind about that now. Just okay, add it to the Git. So here you see we have an if name equals main. This is useful to separate code that it's here we have various functions, and here there are already some things that we can execute. So you see where all this code came from. What we're gonna have here is that we're going to use this bottle py here. Don't mess with this file. It's just code in order to create a server. If you want to download the latest version of that, it's you can go to this website, bottlepy.org/docs/dev. Here is how you install it to your own computer. Execute this in the terminal, and this is a very simple example of how you build an API. But first let's go to the code to see what we have to work with. By executing this server, so let's execute this. Let's go to the appropriate directory, and let's go to this directory then. So here I'm just typing Python server and hit enter. So now what has happened is that a server has started here in this. So here localhost, locally we have started a server with a port being 8080. But if we go back to PyCharm, we're gonna see a new file has been created. This file is called phones.db. So this is a small database, an SQLite database, and instead of downloading programs and stuff like that to see the database, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it with this. Let me find a link for you. So we have SQLite online, okay? SQLite online. So this is a nice browser where you can see an SQLite database. This video supposes that you already know the concept of a database. You can see, I'm gonna put some links to other, yeah, in the description below. I'm gonna put some links related to other courses of mine where you learn about databases. So let's open this here. File, OpenDB. OpenDB from where? From our local computer. Let's find this. Okay. So this is phones.db. Let's open it. And here we see we have only one table. It's a very simple database, and by double clicking here, it just executes. It's a very simple database. It's like very small, only 2 phones, 2 rows, only one table, and it contains this information. So we see here that we have phones, okay? You could have generated other things like I don't know, your predictions, something here, some kind of code, a web form, something has created these entries in the database. And now we want to first of all design an API. First of all, we need to think how our API is going to look like. We know that so far from this link here, from localhost, we know that the API is localhost 8080, and you know, hitting enter, we get nothing because this by itself doesn't work. I want you to think localhost as being a website. So localhost is like you know, it's like this part, like Google, like this part here. 88 is a port because yeah, this is what we have chosen here from the configuration, if you see. Because google.com means google.com 80, but here we have 8080. And do we have any kind of routes that work? Let's see. Here seems that the code that you have available in server.py has a /hello. Let's try that. So, but do we really want to have a /hello here? No, we are building something where we are serving phones, and we want to do several things with the phones here, with these entries. First of all, we want to start designing our APIs. So let's create you know, some nodes here. Let's call it API design.txt. Just some nodes about what we're designing. I say, for example, someone says, so this is our link. This is the link that we have working so far. and someone asks you, right? Someone asks you, please get me all the phones. So you know that this is your server with a port, and you want to see how to design this part here. How are you gonna use how are you gonna build your REST API if you want to get all the phones? What would be the simplest way? So you start writing. So I want to retrieve all the phones. So what's the simplest way to do that? Writing this to your web browser, what kind of verb is it executed? If you don't know what HTTP verbs are, then you should take a look, because it's very simple. HTTP verbs, HTTP methods for RESTful services. Yes, this is because we're building a RESTful service, because everything nowadays, I mean, it's a protocol. You just follow what's on the protocol, and everybody knows what to expect. They know how to what to do with the protocol. So you see here, these are the mostly used HTTP verbs. When you're asking for a website, you always execute this verb. So when you're doing here HTTP hello, what you really say to the server is, could you please get this part? Execute this verb in order to read data. Okay. So here, designing our website, what we want here is to create a GET request for that in order to retrieve all the phones. And as we said, we're keeping it as simple as possible. So here, look at this English phrase. It says retrieve all the phones. Could we get that? Could we simplify that like is this equivalent to get all phones, or more simply, get phones? Get phone. What would you expect if someone told you that the request is get phones? You would expect to retrieve all the phones from the database. So here we just create something we're going to create. We're designing so far something that's called /phones. And then so you have retrieved all the phones from the database. So if you have like million records, you're gonna retrieve everything. You don't always want that. So next thing is for you to retrieve only a single phone. So just get a single phone, get phone. So this would be, so here we're only explaining theory, right? We don't have anything else. We're just designing we're not writing any code so far, because we want to have this as a reference. This is what we really want. So get phone, we want to retrieve only single phone. So get, but how we're gonna specify which phone we want? Let's go back to our database, see how it looks like. Okay, we have here a database. We have ID, brand, model, OS, image, screen size. So this ID seems like the unique identification, and it really is. It's a unique identification of a phone. So one simple way in RESTful API is to get a single phone by its ID. You have to know the ID, you have to know which phone you want in order to retrieve it. So here the design would be HTTP again, localhost slash phone this time. Let's design it. Let's make it, intuitive. We want one phone. We want get one phone slash and the ID. The ID could be like something like 38, or here it could be 2. If you want, 2 would mean get Samsung. Oops, sorry. Yeah, just get Samsung. 1 would be get Apple. Just get something like that. Other things we want to do with your RESTful API. Obviously, having only 2 phones here are not enough. You want to create phones. You might want to create entries because this is gonna be a server, right? You're building a server, and whatever you're creating, I don't know, from TensorFlow or from scikit-learn, from H2O, these algorithms, whatever algorithm you're gonna use, it's going to create something, an entry. You want to put this entry in your server, but you're going to do it again with following the RESTful API. So let's make this even clearer. Like, let's make this that this is a REST API design. So now we want to create a new phone entry. So going back here to the HTTP verbs, we see that create is given by the HTTP verb post. So post here is you have post, and then you have you say create post a new phone. So just a new phone. So what's the simplest way to express that? Post, which means create. The convention is create. I mean, you're not enforced to do it. So, but post is create. So post slash phone. So this means create new entry. But so you're saying to me like that if I hit this, and again, just everything always returns the same. You're executing get. How am I going to execute post? Well, for testing purposes, I would highly recommend to you to download to use Postman. Let me get for you the link. So, or it's much easier just to find it. Go to Chrome extensions, and then here to a web store, and just search for Postman. We want well, wait a minute. No, Postman Chrome apps. Yeah, this is. So this is the nice icon that you're gonna recognize it with. It helps you, it helps you build APIs faster because it helps you to test APIs. And let's go to. Let me execute this for a moment. It takes a little bit in my machine for Postman to initiate. So here we have Postman. So you see here that you have a nice interface where you can execute any of all the possible verbs. You see that there are more than the 5. We're gonna deal with the most important ones, the 5 ones. These two first 5 ones. But you're gonna use 99% of the time. And for getting here, if I hit hello, get hello, and I hit send, you're gonna see that we reached we reached the limit of our 20 minutes for this first lesson, which is okay, which is good. You have Postman now, and you can test. You can actually test here. You can use get, that it's already implemented, in order to test with Postman. Please install Postman as well. We're gonna use it throughout this course, and yeah, and I think we're also going to continue. Yeah, we're gonna continue designing our API, because after designing our API, the API design is the most important part. But in order to complete post here, post, it's going to, how does the server knows which kind of entries we want? So post, where were we? Yeah, here. So we want to create a new phone which has ID, brand, model, OS, image, screen size. Well, we're gonna use JSON. Highly recommend you read more about JSON. If you already know, you're gonna use it in almost any kind of software career you might end up with. So for JSON, if someone wanted to create, for example, the first here, the first row, then you would simply have something like brand, and then which it would be Apple, and then model, which is gonna be iPhone X, and then OS and screen size. You get it, you get like OS, iOS, comma, image is some link we don't care about. We're just specifying, link of image, whatever. And because here we're not writing code, we're just writing text, we're just specifying how we want things to be. And finally, screen size. Like screen size, I don't know, 5 something. You see, I have omitted ID because the way that this website is being this database, this database, it auto generates the ID. So when I create a new entry giving this information, a new ID is going to be generated. So here we're going to have 3, and then it's going to take the maximum number and then just add 1. And even if here 1 didn't exist, still to being the largest number, the next one would be 3 to be created. So this is how you create a new phone entry. This is how we want. We are the designers here. We design the API. We could have here create phone, but we don't want that. We want to make very simple, very intuitive, like post, which means create / phone. And we're going to continue the API design to the next video. Thank you very much for watching so far, And remember, enjoying it is not optional. Thank you very much for watching.